Good evening. Try to make sure my microphone's on. Good evening. It's not. All right, here we go. Hopefully this is working. I know I hit my mute button on accident, so if this ain't working, I apologize. You'll have to read it in the script part. Tonight is January 20th, and we are going to be reading from Genesis 41:17 through 42:17, Matthew 13:24 through 26, Psalms 18:1 through 15, and Proverbs 4:1 and 2. So, if you remember over the last, I think, 3 days now, Joseph, we've been going through the story of Joseph, how he was betrayed by his brothers, he was sold, he went to Egypt and got in trouble with the Pharaoh because he supposedly, the Pharaoh's wife said he was doing things that he was not, and they threw him in prison, and he was interpreting dreams, and the Pharaoh asked him to interpret dreams. So, this is where the story picks up, and this is where the story starts getting good. So, January 20th is Genesis 41:17 through 42:17. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile. 7 cows, shimmering with health, came up out of the river and grazed on the marsh grass. On their heels, 7 more cows, all skin and bones, came up. I've never seen uglier cows anywhere in Egypt. Then the ugly cows ate up, excuse me, then the 7 skinny, ugly cows ate up the first 7 healthy cows. But you couldn't tell by looking. After eating them up, they were just as skinny and ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my second dream, I saw 7 ears of grain, full bodied and lush, growing out of a single stalk, and right behind them, 7 other ears, shriveled thin and dried out by the east wind. And, and thin ears swallowed up the full ears. I've told all this to the magicians, but they can't figure it out. Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's 2 dreams both mean the same thing. God is telling Pharaoh what he is going to do. The 7 healthy cows are 7 years of, and the 7 healthy ears of grain are 7 years. Excuse me. Then the same dream. The 7 sick and ugly cows that follow them up are 7 years, and the 7 scrawny ears of grain dried out by the east wind are the same 7 years of famine. The meaning is what I said earlier. God is letting Pharaoh in on what he is going to do. 7 years of plenty are on their way throughout Egypt, but on their heels come 7 years of famine, leaving no trace of the Egyptian plenty. As the country is emptied by famine, there won't even be a scrap left of the previous plenty. The famine will be total. The fact that Pharaoh dreamed the same dream twice emphasizes that God's determination to do this and to do it soon. So Pharaoh needs to look for a wise and experienced man to put him in charge of the country. Then Pharaoh needs to appoint managers throughout the country of Egypt to organize it during the years of plenty. Their job will be to collect all of the food produced in the good years ahead and stockpile the grain under the Pharaoh's authority, storing it in the towns for food. This grain will be held back to be used later during the 7 years of famine that are coming on Egypt. That's why the country won't be devastated by the famine. This seemed like a good idea to Pharaoh and his officials. Then Pharaoh said to his officials, Isn't this the same man we need? Are we going to find anyone else who has God's spirit in him like this? Excuse me. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, You're the man for us. God has given you the inside story. No one is as qualified as you in experience and wisdom. From now on, you're in charge of my affairs. All my people will report to you. Only as king will I be over you. So Pharaoh commissioned Joseph, I'm putting you in charge of the entire country of Egypt. Then Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his finger and slipped it on Joseph's hand. He outfitted him in robes and the best linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He put the second in command chariot at his disposal, and as he rode, people shouted, Bravo! Joseph was in charge of the entire country of Egypt. Pharaoh told Joseph, I am Pharaoh, but no one in Egypt will make a single move without your stamp of approval. Then Pharaoh gave Joseph an Egyptian name, Zep- Zepneneth Panah. God speaks and he lives. I know I butchered that name. He also gave him an Egyptian wife, Asenath. the daughter of Potipharah, the priest of On. And Joseph took up his duties on the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he went to work for the Pharaoh and the king of Egypt. As soon as Joseph left Pharaoh's presence, he began to work in Egypt. During the next 7 years of plenty, the land produced bumper crops. Joseph gathered up the food in the 7 good years in Egypt and stored the food in the cities. In each city, he stockpiled surplus from the surrounding fields. Joseph collected so much grain, it was like the sand of the ocean, that he finally quit keeping track. Joseph had 2 sons born to him before the years of famine came. Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, I'm going to try that, Potipharah, the priest of On, was their mother. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, Manasseh, I guess, which means forget, saying, God made me forget all the hardships in my parental dome. He named the second son Ephraim, double prosperity, saying, God has prospered me in the land of my sorrow. Then Egypt's 7 good years came to an end, and the 7 years of famine arrived, just as Joseph said. All countries experienced famine. Egypt was the only country that had bread. When the famine spread throughout Egypt, the people called out in distress to Pharaoh, calling for bread. He told the Egyptians, Go to Joseph and do what he tells you. As the famine got worse all over the country, Joseph opened the storehouses and sold emergency supplies to the Egyptians. The famine was very bad, so the whole world was coming to buy supplies from Joseph. The famine was bad all over. When Jacob learned that there was food in Egypt, he said to my sons, Why do you sit around here and look at one another? I've heard that there is food in Egypt. Go down there and buy some so we can survive and not starve to death. 10 of Joseph's brothers walked down to Egypt to get food. Joseph's brother. Jacob didn't send Joseph's brother Benjamin with them. He was afraid that something bad might happen to him. So Israel's son joined everyone else and was going to Egypt to buy food. For Canaan, too, was hit hard by the famine. Joseph was running the country. He was the only one who gave out rations to all the people. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they treated him with honor, bowing to him. Joseph recognized them immediately and treated them as strangers and spoke roughly to them. He said, Where did you come from? From Canaan, they said. We've come to buy food. Joseph knew who they were, but they didn't know who he was. Joseph, remembering the dreams he had dreamed, and said, You're spies. You've come to look out for our weak spots. No, master, they said. We only come to buy food. We're all the sons of the same man. We're honest men. We'd never think of spying. Good Lord. He said, No, you're spies. You come to look out for our weak spots. They said, There were 12 of us brothers, sons of the same father in the country of Canaan. The youngest is with our father, and one is no more. But Joseph said, It's just as I said, you're spies. This is how I'll test you. As Pharaoh lives, I'm not going to As Pharaoh lives, you're not going to leave this place until your younger brother comes here. Send one of you to get your brother, while the rest of you stay here in jail. We'll see if you're telling the truth or not. As Pharaoh lives, I say you're spies. Then he threw them out into jail for 3 days. Genesis 41:17 through 42:17, the breakdown says Joseph goes from prison to prime minister in a day, not because of luck, but because of preparedness and integrity. God's favor plus wisdom creates provision, not just for Joseph, but for entire nations. The famine forces Joseph's brothers to bow before him, fulfilling the dream they mocked. Lesson: God may delay you, but he never wastes you. What looks like betrayal today may be positioning tomorrow. Wow. And I want to jump ahead for the next 2 or 3 days and get to the rest of the story because it's so good. If you've never read the story of Joseph, like I said, I only made it through May last year, and we're going to get through this whole year together. So Matthew 13:24 through 26. So you'll have to jump in tomorrow to hear the rest of the story of Joseph and what happens, because I'm sure it's going to travel on for the next 2 or 3 days. Matthew. So Jesus, told another story. God's kingdom is like a farmer who planted good seed in his field. That night, while his hired men were asleep, his enemy sowed thistles all through the wheat and slipped away before dawn. When the first green shoots appeared and the grain began to form, the thistles showed up too. The farmhands came to the farmer and said, Master, that was clean seed you planted, wasn't it? Where did the thistles come from? He answered, Some enemy did this. The farmhands asked, Should we weed out the thistles? He said, No. If we weed out the thistles, you'll pull up the wheat too. Let them grow together until harvest time. Then I'll instruct the harvesters to pull up the thistles and tie them into bundles for the fire. Then gather the wheat and put it in the barn. Another story, God's kingdom is like an acorn the farmer plants. It's quite small as seeds go, but in the course of years it grows into a huge oak tree, and eagles build nests in it. Another story, God's kingdom is like yeast that a woman works into dough for dozens of loaves or barley bread, and waits while the dough rises. All Jesus did that day was tell stories, a long storytelling afternoon. His storytelling fulfilled prophecy. I will open my mouth and tell stories. I will bring out in the open things hidden since the world's first day. Jesus dismissed the congregation and went into the house. His disciples came in and said, Explain to us the story of the thistles in the field. So he explained, The farmer who sows the pure seed in the Son of Man, the field is the world. The pure seeds are subjects of the kingdom. The thistles are subjects of the devil. And the enemy who sows them in the devil, the harvest is in the end of the age, the curtain of history, the harvest hands are angels. The picture of thistles pulled up and burned is a scene from the final act. The Son of Man will send his angels, weed out the thistles from his kingdom, pitch them in the trash, and be done with them. They are going to complain to high heaven, but nobody is going to listen. At the same time, ripe holy lives will mature and adorn the kingdom of their fathers. Are you listening to this? Really listening? God's kingdom is like a treasure hidden in the field for years, and accidentally found by a trespasser. The finder is ecstatic. What's a find? The proceed and proceeds to sell everything he owns to raise money and buy that field. Or God's kingdom is like a jewel merchant on the hunt for exquisite pearls. Finding one that is flawless, he immediately sells everything and buys it. I seem to be a little tongue tied tonight, and I apologize. So, the breakdown of Matthew 13:24 through 26 is Jesus teaches that wheat and weeds grow together. God and evil often coexist for a season. Don't panic when you see weeds. Judgment and separation come later. Okay. The lesson is stay focused on bearing fruit. God handles the cleanup. Mm. Don't worry about the thistles. It'll clean up. God handles the cleanup. Ain't that the truth? Psalms 18:1 through 15, a David song which he sang to God after being saved from all his enemies and from Saul. I love you, God. You make me strong. God is a bedrock under my feet, the castle in which I live, my rescuing knight, my God, the high crag where I run for dear life, hiding behind the boulders, safe in the granite hideout. I sing to God the praise lofty and find myself safe and saved. The hangman's noose was tight at my throat. Devil waters rushed over me. Hell's ropes clinched me tight. Death traps barred every exit. A hostile world, I call God. I cry to God to help me. From his place, he hears my call. May my cry me right into his presence. A private audience. Earth wobbles and lurches. Huge mountains shake like leaves, quake like aspen leaves because of his rage. His nostrils flare, bellowing smoke. His mouth spits fire. Tongues of fire dart in and out. He lowers the sky. He steps down. Under his feet, an abyss opens up. He's riding a winged creature, soft on wind wings. Now he's wrapped himself in a trench coat of black cloud darkness. But his cloud brightness burst through, spraying hailstones and fireballs. Then God thundered out of heaven. The high God gave the great shout, spraying hailstones and fireballs. God shoots his arrows, pandemonium. He hurls his lightning, a rout. The secret sources of ocean are exposed. The hidden depths of earth lie uncovered. The moment you roar in protest, let loose your hurricane anger. The breakdown of Proverbs 4:1 through 2. No, excuse me. Psalms 18, 1 through 15. I apologize. David declares God as his rock, fortress, and deliverer. When he cried out, heaven moved, earth shook, and God responded with power. The lesson here: when God is your refuge, no enemy is too big and no storm is final. Proverbs 4, 1 through 2. Listen, friends, to some fatherly advice. Sit up and take notice, you'll know how to live. I'm giving you good counsel. Don't let it go in one ear and out the other. The breakdown of Proverbs 4, 1 through 2 says, wisdom is an inheritance. Pay attention, learn, and guard what's been taught. The lesson: what you honor and apply today becomes strength tomorrow. So I am excited about getting on tomorrow, and hopefully the story of Joseph will close out tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a couple more days. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Subscribe, like, and share. Share this with other people. And I will see you tomorrow, January 21st. Have a good evening.